Hey guys, my name is Amir and I am a security engineer. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy Terraform to GCP with no secrets using Workload Identity Federation. You can see it's authenticating with Terraform plan once again, just to make sure, and Terraform apply. This bucket just got created using our Terraform with no keys. Let me share my screen. Let's get started. Before we start working on this, I want to show you the overall architecture of what we're doing. So our Terraform code sits in GitHub, and it has a GitHub action connected to it. And this GitHub action is going to use OpenID Connect token to authenticate with Workload Identity Federation, which sits on the GCP side of things. And then from there, we have a service account, which has a few permissions to create a bucket and also update our state bucket. So in this architecture, we can see the state bucket here, but we're also going to use it to create a new bucket just to show that our entire workflow is working properly. And for this demonstration, I'm just going to clone this repository to do it. One of the good things about this repository is that it does most of the things with the script that is in there, which is called bootstrap _with.sh. And this does most of the work for us. So what it does is that it creates our service account with minimal permissions. It creates the workload identity pool. GitHub OpenID Connect provider settings that we need. It's going to create a custom role for bucket creation, Terraform state bucket as well. So all of these things are going to create it when we run this command right here. Before we do that though, I'm going to clone the repository and go through every single one of the files that is in here. So let me copy the link and go over to my Visual Studio Code on the welcome page. Let's make sure it's full screen, and I'm going to clone a GitHub repository. I'm going to paste the link right here, click enter, and I want to be in documents. You can see another repository there. That is the Terraform test OpenID Connect. That's the one I did for AWS. If you want to check out that video, the link is in the description. So basically, with no keys, we did the same thing on AWS. The setup is a bit different. So if you're interested in AWS, you can see that as well. So I'm going to select the destination for the repository right here, and I'm going to use the same window that we have. So we can see our repository has a bunch of files. This is the exact readme file that we were going through, and that's the image right there. And we can see the main.tf file, which is very simple. It includes the providers that we have. One is random, one is Google. The random one is the one I'm using to create random string numbers at the end of my bucket. And then we have the project ID, which is going to be used as a variable, and we have the location of the bucket as a variable, and the prefix and then everything. And this is the bucket that we're going to create after creating the state and everything. So, and this is the same architecture we went through. I have like a cleanup script at the end, so if you won't have additional charges, this thing will just clean up everything that we have and give us a clean state for future videos. And this is the bootstrap script that I'm using. We'll go through it in a bit. And this is a guide of how the bootstrap script is actually working, what it's creating. If you want to read the guide on that, you can go through it as well. But also, prerequisite for this guide, for this script to work, you need to have the right permissions to create buckets and also have the IAM permissions to give your service account the IAM roles needed. So you need to authenticate with gcloud, then it works. So the next file is the backend. So this is going to be where our backend sitting. Obviously, there's going to be a new backend here. This is like from before when I was practicing, and it's going to give us the name of the backend that's going to be generated using the script. And get ignore file just as usual. And also we have the workflow file, which is going to be very interesting. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. Let's get rid of this. We want this workflow to be running during pull request or the pushes that we do to the main branch. But because of the Git protection stuff that we have, people can't just push stuff to main. You have to go through a pull request to do it. We're going to come back to the workflow later and explain the things that are happening here later. The first thing we want to do is to run the script. And on the README file, it says exactly how to run it. This is the line to run it right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open new terminal right here. And I'm going to make sure I'm authenticated with gcloud. So I'm going to gcloud auth login. And it's going to give us the stuff, give us the emails that we need to log in. And that's the email I want. I want to do all of this, give it a allow. This is it. We have our GitHub account set up. It's the right one. We do GCP. That's the name of the project. So then I'm going to go back and it's been selected here. So we don't need to do get config set project. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go gcloud. In order to be able to run scripts properly and enable APIs, I'm going to do gcloud auth application default login. So this is going to make sure we can run the right scripts that we want. So I'm going to click on that and then continue. So after doing that, we're pretty much ready to run the script. And the script, if I want to show it properly, if I do like a preview in here, there's a preview. Oh, it's right up here. If I want to do a preview, this is the script we need to run. So I'm going to copy that, paste that right here. So in here, we have a bunch of things that we need to fill up. First thing we need is our project ID. For me, my project ID is we do GCP. And for the repo, this is what we need is the repo owner and the repository name. And we can get that right from here. So for us, our repo owner is Amir Security and Amir Cloud Security, and that's the repository name. So I'm going to show you over here as well. This is the repo owner, and this is the repository name. Yours obviously will be different. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm going to get rid of all of this and paste it right here. We have it properly. So now we can run the script to create everything that we need, which is like the service account, the workload identity pool, the GitHub ID, OpenID Connect provider, the custom role, and everything. All we need to do is to press enter. And in here, it tells us what it actually wants to do. It's going to enable the required APIs, right? Create the custom role for our bucket. And it's going to create this service account for us to be able to use it to deploy our stuff with Terraform. And also it's going to create workload identity pool, OpenID Connect, and it's going to do the IAM binding. So our service account will have the right permissions. And lastly, but not least, it's going to create our state bucket for our Terraform. This is it right here, our state bucket. And everything we have is just confirming it's correct or not. We're going to give it a Y, which is yes. And let's see what it does. It's enabling the APIs right now. Nice. And it's going to create the custom role. It's creating the custom role first because it needs the role. Then it could bind it with our service account. And without this script, you could do these things, but you have to go manually on the UI to enable the APIs and also do every single thing the script is doing. You have to do it manually on the UI, which I would include another link in the description if you want to do it manually, all of it, or if you don't have the right permissions. So it's doing that, granting SA, self-impersonation for token generation. Nice. And that's it. It created it. So there's a suffix there. It's just for security purposes. I put like a number at the end of it, and the number changes every time we run the script. So we're making sure what we're creating is unique. So if you use the same script, it's going to be unique. It's not going to give you an error that this thing already exists. So what we have is the service account name, which is SA name right here. I'm going to copy the prefix. Sorry. I'm gonna copy the prefix, try again, and I'm gonna replace it with the prefix I had before, which was 5. Actually, I can just run this to replace it. 50323, that's the prefix I had before. And I'm going to replace all of it with the new prefix. And there's a bunch of places that this happens, which I can show you, which is one is the backend state. So that was the prefix that I had before because I ran this script before to like practice for this video. And it's the prefix we're replacing it with. We can see the GitHub pool is going to be replaced with this, and also the GitHub provider is going to be replaced, and also in here our service account is going to be replaced with the new service account that has been created. So we're going to click that. So everything in our state is basically new based on the new things that we're doing. While we, okay, nice. I'm gonna put that back. And on the console, I'm gonna show you what exactly it did, the script, what it created. So if we go to redo GCP, and we go to workload identity, we just want to see if things have gone smoothly. Worked for Identity Federation. In here, it created a pool, which is that's the name we chose, or that's the auto-generated name. And it also created a provider underneath of it, which is OpenID Connect provider. And if we go and edit on OpenID provider, it's added the URL for it, and also it's done the mapping on it. And at the end, it has added a condition which says the attribute repository has to be same as this. Otherwise, the request will not go any further, which that's what we want. Exactly, that's what we want. And if we go on here, we can see the service account has been added here as well. The service account that was just created. And if we go to IAM, these are the permissions that they have been given to our service account. Bucket manager is like a custom role that I have created. You can have bucket admin as well if you like. And this is the service account right here. And we can also double check the service account has been created. And as you can see, it has no keys. So we're going to do this whole setup with no keys. So I'm going to go back to my code. What I want to do is that I want to test if the workflow is working. So for that, I'm going to create a new branch and going to create a pull request for it. So create a new branch. I'm going to call it testing workflow. Click enter. And now our changes are in testing workflow branch. What I want to do in here is that I want to commit my changes, which my changes were pretty much updating the workflow with the new prefix that we have, with the new numbers that we have, and it's been generated for us. So, and that's our backend, also has changed the state file. But I didn't show you the bucket. So it also has created a bucket. If I go here on buckets, this is the bucket that has been created. But we also, when we run the code as after merge, there's going to be a new bucket there that our workflow has created or our Terraform has created. This bucket is just for the Terraform state. So I'm going to go back here and click on that. So it will automatically generate a new comment for me. Game changer. That I love that feature. It's helpful. It's a lot. It's really helpful because I usually don't like writing comments or messages on my commits. So now we have committed it. We're going to create a pull request right here. And we're going to create the pull request. And on this pull request, we can see it's running the checks. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Maybe it's easier to see. It's running the checks for us on the pull request. And if the checks aren't passed, we're not able to merge. And these checks are like Terraform plan, Terraform format check. And on the plan, we can see it's trying to create a bucket and also randomly generate a name at the end of it, which is the suffix. And these are the checks. And you can see apply was skipped. And why is apply skipped? Because we have a condition set up in our code. We don't run apply during our pull requests because we want it to be reviewed by someone after merge. Then we do a Terraform apply, which makes all the changes on the UI. So right now, if we go on the UI, we can see nothing has been created. If I even refresh, the bucket hasn't been created. It's just saying it's going to be created. So if I go back to the pull request itself, we can see the check is passed. It's verified. That's another condition we have set up. I'm going to show you all the conditions that it's been set up here. It's all in the docs. If I scroll all the way down, you can see these are the conditions under settings, branches, add rule for the main. These are the conditions we have. And if these are not met, you cannot merge, or the person who wants to merge cannot merge. So it needs approvals. It requires a pull request. You can just not push stuff to the main, requires signed commits. There's a lot of good things you can enable on your Git branch protection, GitHub branch protection. And this is another feature, part of the workflow that we have. It tells us what it's going to create, what it's going to update, and what's going to delete. So whoever is approving your pull request, it makes it so much easier for them. And they can see the details right here without even clicking on the workflow itself. And we can see it is not letting us merge. And the reason for that is that I don't have a reviewer set for them to review and approve. But we're going to bypass this rule and merge it anyways. By the way, there's an admin setting in there where even administrators cannot bypass this setting. But for the demonstration, I'm going to do it because we're going to be stuck. No one's going to be approving my pull request over here. So confirm. And that's it. The branch gets deleted. And if we go to actions, we can see the workflow is running. But this time is not going to skip Terraform apply, which is right here. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's not going to be having errors. So it's going to drop out, but we'll see. So you can see it's authenticating without any keys. It did that. Without any keys or secrets. It did that. Terraform initiate. Yes, we can see it found things properly. Terraform plan once again, just to make sure, and Terraform apply. It has done it for us. Terraform apply is creating two new things, which is a suffix and the bucket. And we did all of that using no secrets whatsoever. No credentials, at least. The only secrets that we have, I'm going to show you the secrets actually. If I go down here, actions, the only secrets we have is our project ID, project number, and also TF state. We do not have any credentials in here. And I'm going to go back to GCP, do a refresh here, watch carefully. This bucket just got created using our Terraform with no keys. And it's all secure and nicely done. Thank you guys so much for watching. The link for the GitHub repository is in the description. You can download it and follow along. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I have other security videos on the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching again.